Itch Rocks, Chapter 1, Cornwall, November. The most protected boy in the world was in his bedroom making chlorine gas. Having failed in his attempts to buy any, he was mixing his own. Nowadays, the only time he had to himself was before everyone got up, so he'd been setting his alarm for 6 a.m. A tattered old book lay open on the floor, and Itch, kneeling down in his pyjamas, read the instructions aloud. Add 5 grams of manganese dioxide. He scooped up a small quantity of black powder from a dish and tipped it into his test tube. Now add the hydrochloric acid and heat gently. From an old biscuit tin he produced a small bottle of clear liquid and measured the suggested 3 ml, dripping in the exact amount. Warming the mixture with an old lighter, he picked up another test tube ready to catch the gas. It wasn't the most efficient way of collecting a sample of element number 17 for his collection, but it would have to do. As the mixture began to bubble, Itch leant eagerly towards the tube. Unfortunately, he miscalculated by a few centimetres. The error was small, but the effect was huge. Chlorine gas seared into his lungs like fire, and he dropped the test tube. His gasp sounded like he was being throttled. In the quiet house, it was like an alarm going off. Seemingly from nowhere, 3 figures crashed through his bedroom door. "Call Fanny," shouted the leader, scooping Itch up into her arms. "And check the room." She carried him, coughing and retching, back down the stairs. "Are you okay, Itch?" asked the woman, setting him down on a kitchen chair. "Can you breathe?" Itch nodded, his eyes pressed tightly together, but watering anyway. The back door was open, and through it appeared a small athletic man with a neat black moustache. "Chlorine gas, sir," barked the woman, her voice loud in the kitchen. "Small tube, self-inflicted." "Take him outside," sighed Dr. Jim Fairney. "He needs the air." She led Itch out into the floodlit back garden and sat him on the kitchen step. After he'd taken a few deep breaths, Fairney knelt down beside him. He tapped Itch on the shoulder and waited for him to open his eyes. "Idiot," he said. "Sorry," croaked Itch. "I thought I could bottle some before school." He broke off, coughing. Fairney looked up as Nicholas and Jude Loft appeared behind them in the kitchen. They were both tall, Nicholas easily 6'4", but it was Jude that Itch most closely resembled, their hair both mousy, wavy and uncontrolled. He's fine," he called before they could say anything. "Just a little chlorinated mouthwash to start the day. He'll be okay just as soon as his lungs have stopped burning. Give him 5 minutes." Itch's parents stared at their son, then at the man in charge of his security. "But what happened?" asked his father. "It's 6 in the morning, for heaven's sake." As if in answer to Nicholas's question, the 2 men who'd been checking Itch's bedroom appeared in the doorway holding a bag of smashed chemistry equipment. Jude Loft rolled her eyes. "You have got to be kidding." MI5 had taken over his house and forced the neighbours to move. Dr. Fairney, who was also a colonel in the British Army, ran a cell of 7 agents from what had been the Cole family's house next door. There were 3 on duty, 3 off, 24 hours a day. The final member of the team had moved in with Itch's cousin Jack and her family. On every window, the loft house now had steel shutters that could be lowered if there was a perceived threat. There was a very visible CCTV at the front and back of the property, and a complex alarm system triggered by laser beams that crisscrossed the garden. Inside, there were cameras downstairs, but by common agreement, none upstairs. The fence between the 2 semi-detached houses had been removed and replaced with powerful lighting, a satellite dish and a generator. In the Coles house, the living rooms were now stuffed with a battery of monitors running images from inside and outside the next door house. Other cameras showed the roads around the town and the Cornwall Academy, which was the school attended by Itch and his 11-year-old sister Chloe. The agents tried to interfere with family life as little as possible, keeping to the kitchen as much as they could. The on-duty team would have 1 member watching the screens next door, while the other 2 patrolled the garden. And all of this because a man called Cake had given Itch a rock. It had looked unremarkable enough, largely brown and pebble-sized, but that rock had turned out to consist of the previously undiscovered element 126. Highly radioactive and extremely powerful, its value was incalculable, but so was the danger it presented. Depending on who controlled it, Element 126 had the potential to solve the world's energy crisis or make its owner a nuclear power overnight.